Nelson's Lake Rotoiti provides a stunning venue for the third round of the New Zealand GP Hydroplane and Formula One Tunnel Series. New Zealand's best continue their battles from the earlier rounds, and ideal weather and water conditions saw a big crowd in attendance to watch the country's fastest race boats. Here's an insider look at what will be on offer over the weekend with Jack Lupton.
Jack Lupton here, back here at round 3 for Lake Rotoiti. Got GP57 here with me this weekend, line up with A.E. Baker. It's going to be very, very competitive with the boss and the old man driving Ken's boat for Heat 1, and maybe he might hop in for Heat 2. So, you know, Rotoiti is a very special event. It's a little bit more difficult for us. Bit of an advantage for the tunnels, I suppose, and it's a triangle course, so it makes us work a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, a race is a race, and we're just going to do what we can and get the best out of 57 and, yeah, hopefully have some fun, so nice.
There were dramatic scenes at the previous round on Lake Karapiro for Warwick Lupton's Annihilator race boats, which had Warwick's daughter Jamie Lee at the wheel.
Unfortunately, the fire damage was quite a bit worse at Karapiro than we thought, and we're pretty close to finishing it, but for these boats it's not really worth rushing it, to be fair. They need to go in the water properly, otherwise you're just going to have another problem, and yeah, for the risk factor and the cost, we thought, no, we'll leave it at home, and obviously we've got Ken's boat here this weekend, so I'll test this on Saturday, and he's coming in tomorrow to drive it, so we've got a bit of work to do on this, and we thought it was a good opportunity to do like a wee bit of work today on our test day on this boat. So yeah, we're really disappointed because we get a huge crowd here, and really disappointed we couldn't come, but yeah, we just couldn't pull it off, which is sad.
The action in Nelson started early with a mishap for Formula One tunnel racer Sam Hughes.
Thank God it's a beautiful hot day, because I got a swimming lesson first thing this morning, went for a test, and unfortunately the bottom of the boat delaminated and sunk. We managed to recover it, but yeah, everything's wet. So that's our weekend, probably the season finished. No, it was instant chaos. It just went around the turn and ended up doing a bit of a flat spin, and we were only upright for maybe a split second. I thought, oh, you know, we're okay, and then it started to tip over. I thought, oh, we're going to get wet here.
So here's the highlights of the first of 4 races for round 3 of the New Zealand Formula One Tunnel Series. Current New Zealand champion Luke Sharp closest to camera in Zenith Technica. Beach start. Great onboard shot off the back of Julian Stillwell's Scott Construction. Stillwell was the top qualifier in the hot lap session, carrying points across in through to the rounds. Great start down the inside for Derek McAdam. In the chase, Ray Glass, Malcolm Jamieson, that's Anthony Robertson to his outside in design windows. On board now with Robertson. Have to hold their line up into the top corner. And it looks like Jamieson's got the lead. Tight turn though. No, it's McAdam out in front on the back straight run for the first time. Ray Glass to his outside. Great start here from McAdam. And a great turn. Look how much ground he made up on Jamieson. Best run of the championship so far for the chase, Derek McAdam. Jamieson slotting into the second position in the early laps, boat 19 out in front. Back on board with Anthony Robertson. That's Jeff Price just to his inside in Lone Wolf. Battle for third and fourth. Just in behind that battle is Julian Stillwell and Luke Sharp. Zenith Technica, not the greatest of starts for the defending national champion. You can see that little kink in the back straight. A little bit different to what we've seen with the race courses so far in the championship. On board with Robertson. Absolutely ideal weather and water conditions here on Lake Rotoiti and Nelson, and a stunning backdrop for the third round of the championship. One of the prettiest race courses in New Zealand. Leaders into some lap traffic. It's still McAdam in the lead. 2 quite different lines for McAdam and Jamieson. McAdam in the Seabold hull. Jamieson in the Ray Glass DAC hull. Quite a different aero package on this boat, one of the newer boats in the championship. It's Anthony Robertson in lap traffic, goes around Public Enemy. And a very wide turn there for Robertson. Just sneaking up the inside is Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. Drag race on the flat water, leaders up ahead. Side by side, Lone Wolf and Design Windows. Again, Price with an inside tighter turn. Robertson, a little moment there, but he pulls up alongside. A little bit better acceleration for Robertson at the moment. Gets hosed down trying to get an inside run. Here's that kink on the back straight. It's Malcolm Jamieson. Now through to the lead. He's got by McAdam for the race lead. Race 1, round 3 of the New Zealand Formula 1 Channel Championship here on Lake Rotoiti. Former national champion. Very good boat builder in his own right. Just watch this boat down through the turns. Pretty much that's all in the water on the straights. It's just the back of the boat, the stern and the prop. As he sits it down on the sponson with the turns, you can see how much air they get up underneath these tunnels. Malcolm Jamieson able to get around McAdam. Look to hold on to the lead here to the checkered flag. Malcolm Jamieson taking the victory in heat number 1 here at Lake Rotoiti. So it's Ray Glass from the chase, Lone Wolf in third ahead of Design Windows, Scott Construction, Zenith Technica, Public Enemy and a DNF for TNT.
The conditions were a bit gusty, but I love that water was just beautiful. Not too rough, but the wind was helping me actually lift. So I just keep following Chase around there and finding where his faults were. And I thought I've got to do it either in this lap or the next lap just before the end there. And found a little fault he had there and zapped him.
So we threw a couple of blades on the prop, and so we sort of just lost that little bit of speed. Lucky to finish, I guess, but hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, we got really tight one part of it, 3 of us wide across the straight. We start to make lift off each other, and it really could have got ugly, but everyone held their heads and we did okay, yeah.
Welcome back to round 3 of the New Zealand GP Hydroplane and Formula 1 Tunnel Series. Palmerston North's Derek McAdam is a relative newcomer to the sport with a previous background in motorsport on both 2 and 4 wheels.
Hi everyone, I'm Derek McAdam, driver of the Chase. I've been in the sport now for 3 years. This is my second year with this boat. I come from a background of motorcycle racing, and while I was young I was racing go-karts as well, so I've been in sort of motorsports for several years. I work up in Palmerston North as a motorcycle technician. So in my spare time I generally always end up playing with engines or bits and pieces, so it's sort of natural to follow along with motorcycles or boats. Good sport, love to be in it, and it's a real good bunch of people to be part of, and thoroughly enjoy it.
So it was a strong run in heat number 1 for Derek McAdam. What can he do here in heat number 2? Big jump start there from that. Looked to be Anthony Robertson, and Luke Sharp looked like he reacted to it as well. Robertson's got out of the throttle. Maybe to, along similar lines to circuit racing, readdress it. But a hard one there. There may be some controversy post-race with that one, as Luke Sharp is the early race leader in Zenith Technica. Jamieson to his inside. There's contact. Contact between Ray Glass and Zenith Technica. That was a big hit back on board with Anthony Robertson. Is there any damage on either of the 2 race boats? It looks like Ray Glass is slowing on the back straight. Here's the replay. Look at the air that Ray Glass gets right up out of the water. May have been an over-rev from an engine there as well, with the prop completely out. You could hear the contact on the onboard. Contact between Malcolm Jamieson and Luke Sharp. Well, more controversy in this one. We saw a little bit at the start with a jump start from Anthony Robertson. Race leader is now Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction. Another Seabold hull on board with Luke Sharp. He's cruising. He's obviously aware he's copped some damage after that contact with Malcolm Jamieson, who was also on the race course slowly circulating. So it falls into the hands of Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction. Scored top points in the hot lap session. Finished 5th in heat number 1. See, the wind's just picked up a little bit. The water condition as Ray Glass comes into the pit area. Obviously some concern there, maybe that the boat has water on board. So a DNF from Rayglass. Malcolm Jamieson after that contact with Luke Sharp. Oh, the chase right on the edge. Derek McAdam was right up out of the water on the back straight. We heard from Malcolm Jamieson talking about the wind gusts in heat number 1, which were a little bit inconsistent, although the water conditions are pretty much ideal. There are some wind gusts out on the race course that can catch these boats out at any time. Stillwell comfortable out in front in Scott Construction. Derek McAdam second in the chase. Jeff Price third in Lone Wolf. In behind Price it'll be Steve Priest and TNT. So McAdam looking for another podium. There's Sharp in the background, limping around trying to salvage some points for the finish. At worst he's going to finish 7th. With Rayglass already a DNF. There's the gap first to second. Derek McAdam in the chase, on the chase. Trying to close the gap down to Julian Stillwell. Similar gap back to Anthony Robinson. In fact, is now in 3rd. Jeff Price not too far behind TNT. So Lone Wolf with an inside run here up to the top mark. A little bit cleaner water on the inside of the course. So there's Anthony Robertson. Down the 3rd place, trying to chase down Derek McAdam in the chase. Heat 2, round 3, the New Zealand Formula 1 Tunnel Championship. Back on board with Robertson. Barber Hull. That's one of the things about New Zealand Formula 1 tunnel racing, the diversity of the different hulls racing in this championship from all over the world. Out of Europe, United Arab Emirates, America of course with the Seabolds, and even out of Australia. It's the Seabold Scott Construction number 3, Julian Stillwell, continuing to lead, taking advantage of that early clash between Jamieson and Sharp. Sharp still out on the race course. Steve Priest and TNT. New Zealand built and designed KRB hull, built by Malcolm Jamieson. I think that's the ex-Anthony Robertson boat. Goes by Public Enemy. Just in behind them is the race leader, Julian Stillwell. See over the back of the course, just a little chop, and obviously the wake from the boats running around the race course. Just stunning conditions, a stunning backdrop here on Lake Rotoiti. These incredible Formula 1 tunnel hulls. Stillwell heading down towards the finish line, and he will take the checkered flag in a somewhat controversial second heat here on Lake Rotoiti. Second place, Derek McAdam's in the chase. Second consecutive second place in 2 heats. So it's Julian Stillwell and Scott Construction with the victory from the chase. Lone Wolf in 3rd ahead of TNT, Design Windows, Public Enemy, Zenith Technica, the 7th finisher, Rayglass, a costly DNF.
We just had to get off the dock, get a good start, and get around the track for the first lap, and hopefully, hold the other boats off, really. Yeah, it's a good start to the weekend. Basically had the first prop issues in the first race, and then got given another prop for this one, and it's just sort of all worked together. So we'll just keep going, keep battling away. I was out quite wide, and sort of watched it all unfold. So I sort of just stayed out wide and watched it go by, and then everyone else carried on. So yeah, we just kept it putting it, and away we went. Coming into the first corner. Malc drifted a little wide and we turned tight and it collided. I thought we had some steering damage and idled around just to collect the points and whatever place we could get doing that. And we'll be back tomorrow and hopefully we can do some harder racing.
Heat number 3. A great shot off the back of Anthony Robertson's Design Windows off the beach start. Julian Stillwell on the outside of the lineup. Maximum RPM as they head up towards the first mark, where we saw the contact in Heat 2 between Luke Sharp and Malcolm Jamieson on board with Jeff Price. That's Jamieson to his right. So Luke Sharp goes flying up the inside. Robertson pretty much in the middle of the race course, lap 1. Highlights of heat number 3. Again, just ideal water conditions. Luke Sharp is your race leader. Zenith Technica, New Zealand built and designed boat up in Silverdale. Designed by Luke Sharp. Manufactured by Gordon Robinson. Former New Zealand Superboat Light offshore champion. Speeds upwards of 200 kilometres an hour. Great front-on shot. You can see right down the centre of the boats before they turn. Anthony Robertson in second. Jamieson after some repairs between races 2 and 3 in third ahead of Lone Wolf. Julian Stillwell back in 5th. Heat 2 winner. A little bit of rougher water out the back of the course there for Steve Priest. Just caught a wave in TNT. And it's Brendan Coles in Public Enemy on board with Stillwell. He'll be busy in the office here. Looking for some clean water. Incredible G-forces as these boats hunker down into the turns. They will literally just turn on a dime. So it's Sharp, Robertson, Jamieson. Back on board the 4th place, Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. 5th is still Julian Stillwell, just in back of shot there in the blue, number 3. Scott Construction. This is Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. He's had all sorts of issues with the rear bodywork throughout the last season or so. As Luke Sharp continues his dominance of Heat 3. Not too far behind though is Anthony Robertson. There's the gap over on the back straight. The boats look quite differently set up. Anthony Robertson with a little bit more attitude in the front of the boat. Sharps looks to be sitting a lot flatter. Jamieson right on the edge. You can see the back of the boat twitching in a straight line. Trying everything he can. Again, the front of the boat. Under acceleration, a little bit higher. Up over the water than what we saw from Luke Sharp. Huge amount of setup changes they can make with these boats to trim them. As Luke Sharp puts a lap on Nick Coles in Public Enemy. Very confident showing here from the current national champ. He's got about a 2-second advantage over Anthony Robertson in heat number 3. Just one more heat to go for round 3 of the championship. Here on a stunning Lake Rotoiti in Nelson. Sharp blasting away to the first mark. Race finish not too far away here in heat number 3. Still with a couple of second advantage over Anthony Robertson. Again, being out front. There's a little bit more cleaner water in front of him. Steve Priest just up ahead. Priest currently in the 7th position in TNT. All 8 boats still out on the water. Luke Sharp looking to make amends after that incident with Malcolm Jamieson in heat number 2. And takes the checkered flag in heat number 3 and does it relatively easily from Anthony Robertson in Design Windows. Zenith Technica with the win, Design Windows in 2nd, followed by Malcolm Jamieson and Ray Glass. Lone Wolf, Scott Construction, The Chase, Steve Priest and TNT, and Nick Coles in Public Enemy.
We changed our game plan. We went home last night and studied what we learned yesterday. We did some changing to our setup. We made it suitable for the longer track, and we sacrificed a little bit out of the corners. But I think we made the right decision, and the boat feels awesome.
Yeah, we did. We got a second there. We started off in fourth and ended up in a second, so we were pretty happy with that. Game plan going forward, we'll try a few more adjustments, see if we can get a bit more speed at top end.
Yeah, we were not quite as good as yesterday. We got a little handing problem there, trying to get through that right hander was a bit tiptoey, so we'll try changing the motor heights a little bit there and just see what we can do to just tidy a few little bits up there. It's not quite perfect, but it's better than what we thought. We're out there racing, and third, I'll take a third.
From the Formula One tunnels, it is on to the GP Hydroplanes in the AE Baker Cup for 2015. Over 2 heats. Kenny Lupton fires up on the outside of the course, and Lucas Oils back in the boat after Dan Warwick shook it down earlier on in the weekend. On the inside is Raymond Hardin, the boss. GP05 in the middle. Jack Lupton in GP57. The AE Baker Trophy, one of the oldest, most prestigious trophies in Australasian boat sports. It's Jack Lupton out in front. We talk about water conditions from the Formula One tunnels. This is absolutely perfect for these big GP hydroplanes. Not a lot of wind out on the race course as we go on board with Jack Lupton. Almost a Sunday drive for the relative newcomer to the sport. While he's a newcomer, man, has he been impressive. As has Raymond Hart. He's just lost second to Ken Lupton, who's got around the outside using that wider line, and Lucas Oils running without an engine cover. But out in front, it's the Henderson Old GP57, producing between 15 to 1800 horsepower. Some of these boats capable of 2000 horsepower. The blown and injected 410 cubic inch supercharged big blocks running on methanol. Lupton continues that inside line. Jack Lupton in GP57. Older brother Ken on the outside using momentum, trying keeping that clean water. See the RPM up to 6,600 RPM. These engines at full tilt can produce upwards of 8,000 RPM. It starts getting a little bit unreliable as Ken Lupton winds up around the outside. This is going to be close. Jack Lupton on the inside. See how wide Ken Lupton is. Jack holding that nice inside line, but Ken Lupton is hunting him down. Taking advantage of that cleaner water on the outside. If he can get the overlap, Ken Lupton winds up Lucas Oils on the back straight, 270 plus kilometres an hour. This is the run to the checkered flag, the last lap. Jack Lupton on the inside, Ken Lupton on the outside. It is going to be so very, very close. Fantastic run from Ken Lupton. Jack Lupton has not put a wheel wrong. And he's going to bring it down to the line. It's going to be close. Jack Lupton will take the victory. Heat 1 for the AE Baker Cup. Ken Lupton in second and shuts it down past the checkered flag. So it's Jack Lupton taking out the first heat of the 2-heat AE Baker Cup from older brother Ken Lupton. A fantastic race in third. Raymond Hart in the boss.
Yeah, no, it all started from the start. We were a little bit misled that we were waiting for that flag to drop and ended up actually dropping quite early, and probably almost weren't quite ready, but we got underway, and once we sort of got in front and sort of closed a couple of turns down on Raymond, we sort of dictated it from there, and yeah, it felt good from then. So
it's going all right. It's got a lot of load on the steering wheel, so I'm pretty knackered after the third lap. And that fourth lap, we started pushing it a bit harder. We were catching them, so we decided to give it a bit of a hit down the last straight. And just as we come into the corner, it broke another blower belt. So we've got an issue there. We're not quite sure what the reason is. Every time I try to give it full throttle, it seems to break them. So they're having another look at it now and see how we go.
Yeah, look, we're pretty happy how the whole thing's going, and like at the end of the day, it's we just got to keep it going because the reliability is what we need to get to the end of every heat. So if we can keep it going and try and get some more power out of it, we'll be very happy.
Cromwell's Anthony Roberts Robertson races out of the Lake Dunstan Boat Club and has been one of New Zealand's fastest and most consistent Formula One tunnel racers over the past few seasons.
Hi, I'm Anthony Robertson. I run the Design Windows boat. It's a Formula One class we're in. The boat's fairly new to us. It's a bubble boat we've brought out of Italy. This is our second season in it. I've been in the sport since I was about 18. Started in Formula 3, slowly worked my way up. Yeah, it's awesome sport to be involved in. Great guys. We have a lot of fun. Travel all around New Zealand. I live in Cromwell, down south, so the North Island events are quite a long way for us to go, but we follow the whole circuit round. Yeah, it's just a great thing to be doing.
Fourth and final heat for the Formula One Tunnels New Zealand Series. A little bit of a jump there from Nick Coles and Public Enemy. Looked like Jeff Price. Lone Wolf got the early jump out to the race lead. Derek McAdam in the chase with a good start to the outside, on board with Robertson in the middle of Rayglass and the chase. Stillwell to their inside in Scott Construction. It's going to be a drag race down the back straight, lap number 1. Stillwell with the early advantage. Rayglass. Moment there for McAdam, right up out of the water, and it lost him momentum. Malcolm Jamieson on the outside trying to take the challenge in the early laps here for the fourth and final heat, chasing down Julian Stillwell. So it's going to be interesting for the weekend and heading into the points to the next round of the championship. These relatively shorter series. It's all about consistency and getting points, and you can't afford DNFs. There's only a handful of boats now that have not had a DNF in this championship as we're back on board with Robertson. Chasing down Luke Sharp. Still Stillwell out in front, chased by Jamieson. So that early issue for McAdam where the front of the boat come out of the water cost him a lot of momentum in a couple of positions, with Luke Sharp now up into third in Zenith Technica. National champ carrying some battle scars likewise, as is Malcolm Jamieson after their clash in heat number 2. Certainly had both camps pretty hot under the collar. Jamieson flying down to the turn. Very distinctive looking boat, the DAC hull, as is this one. New Zealand built design. Luke Sharp, current national champion. And out in front of both of them, Stillwell is just clean driving away from both Jamieson and Sharp. Steve Priest in TNT back in the 6th position. Another New Zealand built design KRB hull. Stillwell is really flying here in the 4th and final heat, looking for his 2nd win of the weekend. In heat number 1 it was Rayglass. Stillwell winning heat 2, Luke Sharp taking the win in heat 3, and it's Scott Construction, Julian Stillwell leading here in heat number 4 with a now massive lead over Malcolm Jamieson and Rayglass, who may have a problem because Luke Sharp's right on top of him in the background. Luke Sharp's made up a huge amount of ground. Derek McAdam in the chase back in 5th. Battling there with Lone Wolf on board with Robertson. In Design Windows. Goes up the inside of Nick Coles and Public Enemy. So there's the race leader. About to put TNT down a lap. Julian Stillwell in the blue and white number 3. Scott Construction. There's definitely a battle on for 2nd because Luke Sharp in Zenith Technica was all over Malcolm Jamieson. Stillwell continues to extend his lead as the white flag comes out. 1 lap to go for the 4th and final heat. Stillwell looking for 2 wins for the weekend to go with his points in the hot laps as well. Probably the most dominant performance of the round here on Lake Rotoiti. There is just daylight behind the race leader. Luke Sharp Malcolm Jamieson and Anthony Robertson in close quarters. But it's going to be Stillwell. 2 wins from the 4 starts over the weekend. So it is Julian Stillwell and Scott Construction taking the win in heat number 4 ahead of Zenith Technica Design Windows, Lone Wolf, the Chase TNT. Late race issues for Rayglass. Malcolm Jamieson see him finish 7th ahead of Public Enemy in 8th.
Yeah, no, we're pretty stoked. We've had a pretty good weekend, really. I can't thank my team enough and our sponsors. It's just been a pretty good weekend, really. We're hopefully, I haven't worked it out yet, but hopefully we're sort of getting up the leaderboard a bit more. We came in 3rd. Hopefully we come back out on top. Yeah, we're stoked. We weren't expecting to get up the field that far, starting on a pole 5, and we had the fastest boats on our inside. There was a fair bit of carnage at the first corner, and we just managed to find some gaps and come out the outside. A little bit annoyed that Malcolm was lapped down and didn't get out of our way and give us a chance to get further up, but had a good tussle with them and come out with the right result.
And after round 3 of the championship, it is defending national champion Luke Sharp with the points lead, 215. Julian Stillwell, 213, with Anthony Robertson in 3rd on 200, just 15 points, covering the top 3 spots. Welcome back to Lake Rotoiti in Nelson. Heat 2 for the AE Baker Cup for the GP Hydroplanes. Heat 1 taken out by this boat, Jack Lupton and GP 57, as they hit the throttles down the back straight. Again, amazing water conditions for the big GP Hydroplanes. In heat number 1 was an all-Lupton battle with Ken Lupton running that outside line, closing the gap to Jack, but Jack taking the win. Ken breaking a blowabout on the final run to the checkered flag. Raymond Hart back in 3rd in the Boss, GP 05. If you've never been to a GP Hydroplane race live, some of the most amazing sounding boats on the planet. Lake Rotoiti is just thundering with the noise from these supercharged 410 cubic inch big block chefs running on methanol, capable of producing upwards of 2,000 horsepower, depending on tune, usually between 15 to 1,800 horsepower, 270 plus kilometers an hour in a straight line, and very, very quick through the corner. Very, very physical boats. On board with race leader Jack Lupton, looking to pick up the AE Baker Cup. If he can take the win here, he'll do it with 2 wins from 2 starts. Ken Lupton not quite as close as he was in heat 1. He's got a battle on his hands back there with Raymond Hart. We're on board with the Boss. One of the most distinctive powerboats in New Zealand racing history. Another Jamie Old design. A little bit earlier than the other 2 boats out on the racecourse with the Lupton boys. Jack Lupton, what's good to see there is very little wheel work, meaning the boat's nice and settled. It's Ken Lupton, again running without engine cover, trying something a little bit different with the aero package. Heat 2 like Heat 1 is all Jack Lupton. Just about lying down in the safety capsule in this race boat. Again, not a lot in the water, pretty much just a little percentage of the sponsons, and of course the all-important prop on the back of the boat. A lot of the tuning can be done with props for acceleration, top speed, turning vanes and the rudders. A lot of testing goes on with these boats during the off-season to get them tuned. As Jack Lupton crosses the finish line to win Heat 2 of the AE Baker Cup. And that'll be the overall victory for the youngster. So go back on board with Raymond Hart in 3rd. Second will be Ken Lupton in Lucas Oil. And Raymond Hart and the boss with a little lift down the back will cross the line in third for the 2015 AE Baker Cup. So the overall win for the AE Baker goes to young Jack Lupton, arguably one of his biggest wins of his career, finishing second Ken Lupton, and in third Raymond Hart in the boss.
Yeah, no, we're really stoked. The team have worked hard all weekend after a big Friday night with the rugby, and the boys having a few drinks and finding it a bit hard on Saturday morning, but we've come here, we've been pretty prepared and starting to get some combinations together that are working, and the rudder packages are slowly starting to come together as well, so no, we're happy as.
G'day, I'm Jason Haggerty, pilot of Miss Aberdeen from Motorsport in Chicago. I've been piloting Miss Aberdeen for 2 years now, and when I'm not driving that one, I'm working on a big boat. It's water for life. Cheers.
It's on to the final two races, heats 1 and 2 of the South Island Grand Prix. Jack Lupton, Raymond Hart and the boss, Jason Haggerty in the Grand National Miss Aberdeen, and Jeff Price in Lone Wolf. So the two big GP Hydros, a Grand National and a Formula 1 tunnel for this one. Raymond Hart with the early advantage in GP05, the boss. Jack Lupton having to use that outside lane. You can see on this onboard shot with Raymond Hart, flat water, perfect water. So the advantage at the moment with Hart on the inside. Jack Lupton winds up around the outside in GP57. He's already won the AE Baker Cup for the weekend. We'll hold that for 2015. Still side by side. This is a good boat race. Lupton maybe with a little advantage in acceleration. Hart's going to try and live down the inside. As Jack Lupton now takes over the race lead. Now he has the ability to shut the boss down and get that inside line if he wants to. But that outside line looks to be working pretty well for Lupton at the moment in GP57. Huge wall of water. The boss disappears behind the rooster tail laid down by Jack Lupton. In behind them, Lone Wolf and the Grand National Miss Aberdeen having their own private battle for third. Jack Lupton now takes control. There is Miss Aberdeen, 351 cubic inch Ford Racing, small block, 570 horsepower, carbureted, no supercharger. So nowhere near as much horsepower as these big GP Hydroplane monsters. Jack Lupton continuing his strong form, strong weekend in GP57. Hart's just started dropping off. Doesn't sound to be running as crisply as Jack Lupton's GP57. To the point that he's lost quite a bit of time in that last lap. Jeff Price and Haggerty still going at it for third. Price with a little advantage on the inside. The Formula 1 tunnels obviously with that advantage, with that tighter turn. Jack Lupton heading down towards the finish. Heat 1 for the South Island GP. Third and fourth just up ahead, and it's still Price with the advantage over Haggerty. As Lupton cruises down to the checkered flag and wins Heat 1, the South Island GP. Raymond Hart will finish second. This is the battle for third. This is a great boat race as well. The early laps between Lupton and Hart were pretty good. And this is a very, very good run to the end. Price with that tighter turn. It's going to be close. Haggerty might be able to drive around him here. Two very, very different race boats. 2.5 litre Mercury two-stroke racing outboard with Price as he takes off. Oh, that was a huge moment for Jeff Price. It's cost him momentum. Haggerty drives around him and will take third on the line for Heat 1 of the South Island GP. What a moment there from Jeff Price. Dramas at the start of Heat 2 though. Jack Lupton unable to start GP57. He had a similar issue at one of the earlier rounds of the series. So not quite the perfect weekend for Jack Lupton. His race is over. Disappointment there for GP57. He will not take the start in heat number 2 of the South Island Grand Prix. Jeff Price on the inside. Ken Lupton's back out there though, and Lucas Oils didn't contest heat 1. Jason Haggerty back out there in GN5 Grand National. Miss Aberdeen. So the opportunity for the win here now falls to this man, Raymond Hart and the boss, but it did not start for Jack Lupton. Ken Lupton could be the spoiler though. He'll look to apply some pressure to Raymond Hart to try and force him into a mistake. All Hart needs to do here is to finish and keep ahead of Miss Aberdeen and Jeff Price in Lone Wolf as Jack Lupton gets towed back to the pit area. Raymond Hart flies down the back straight. For a couple of moments there, all that was in the water was the prop. Back on board with Hart. Ken Lupton not able to stay as close as he would have liked. So Hart can just cruise to the finish here to tie up the South Island GP title. Wind's just picked up a little bit late in the afternoon. Water not quite as clean as it was earlier on. It's Kenny Lupton back out on the race course in Lucas Oils. Big gap to Raymond Hart and the boss. Jeff Price and Lone Wolf has a little advantage over Jason Haggerty and Miss Aberdeen. Little lift there from Kenny Lupton. Little moment there for Ray Hart and the boss. Going to look to do this pretty comfortably to wrap up a wonderful weekend here on Lake Rotoiti in Nelson. Third round of the GP Hydroplane Formula 1 Tunnel Series featuring the AE Baker Cup and the South Island GP Series. Again, that battle continues between Price and Haggerty for third in race 1. Problems here for Kenny Lupton. Looks to be slowing in Lucas Oils. He's had an issue with braking blowabouts throughout the weekend. Raymond Hart, though, is going to take the checkered flag. Just a couple of corners to go. Raymond Hart will take out the South Island GP title. Problems for Ken Lupton. So that battle for third and fourth between Price and Haggerty now becomes a battle for second and third. Raymond Hart takes the checkered flag. A first and a second guaranteeing him the South Island Grand Prix title. Also after the demise of Jack Lupton at the start of this one with a DNS. So the battle for second now with Ken Lupton a DNF in this one is between Jeff Price and Lone Wolf on the inside in the Formula 1 tunnel. Jason Haggerty again on the outside. This is just about a copy of race 1. Jeff Price got that last corner right that time though. Haggerty winds up on the outside and I think we'll just pip him on the line. Jason Haggerty in second. Raymond Hart with the victory and takes out the South Island Grand Prix title. Haggerty in second with Jeff Price and Lone Wolf in third for heat number 2.
Yeah, look, that was pretty lucky, I suppose. Jack not starting certainly helped us to take that, but a win's a win, isn't it? So no, we're pretty happy. So, you know, it's been a good weekend. It's good to go home with a first instead of 3 thirds.
And there's lots more action to come from both the GP Hydroplanes and Formula 1 tunnels from the next rounds from Hokitika and